the ability us to take 4 million buildings and make sure that they, in fact, are weatherized in a way that, in fact, they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out.
Millions of dollars in property damage is done.
Broken my heart.
The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next.
Violent revolution.
Because I don't think you really see what's going on, you know. This isn't typical politics, you know. This is like survival. We are all in this together as United States citizens.
Revolution becomes of primary value to the communists to the extent to which it can be used to condition the masses psychologically to accept the non-violent revolution, which is offered supposedly as the only alternative.
We were together, now we're nothing at all.
Quick little history lesson. When the communists took over Russia, they say the estimate is 20 to 60 million people died. Well, it's closer to like 50 to 60 million people died. That's a lot of people. But when the communists took over China, 100 million people died. People, this ain't no joke. And these people that are destroying the country, I'm just wondering why. They don't even understand why they hate the country. They just hate. And what's happened is, because the Democrats are controlling the media, you get off work and you come home and you're in a relaxed state after work. You put your feet up and turn on the news and you're getting lied to. You don't even know it. I will get to that. I will cover some of the lies that are constantly thrown out there. But we just had BLM today in our little town go out, and all of the United States go out and protest at Trump because Trump wouldn't condemn racism. I mean, white supremacism. He doesn't condemn white supremacy? That's bull. Here's an article by the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, argued that the president said recently he would designate the KKK a terrorist organization. He has been very clear that there is no place for racism in this country.
Millions of dollars in property damage is done.
Broken my heart.
The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next.
Violent revolutions can be good. Our founding fathers were violent when they were fighting. Blah, blah, blah. That's what the uninformed say. That's what they say as the left slowly begins pushing that word to the forefront of our discussions, normalizing it. Revolution, revolution.
We are in the middle of a revolution right now. I know you can feel it.
And this time it's not just Bernie Sanders and his ragtag group of far-left radicals. No, it's the whole damn party. Well, tonight I'm going to show you why this revolution is nothing like anything we've ever faced before. I will show you why this one is dark, dangerous, sinister, and flat-out evil. It is calculated.
The plans and preparations for a communist revolution of force and violence are far advanced.
So calculated that while the left sits back with smug smirks, watching as we destroy each other on the streets, thanks to their plan, Trump will be the one who takes all the heat. The revolution will destroy all of us.
And it's nothing short of national suicide for us to continue to ignore their plans.
You know, Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances.
So, to stop it in its tracks, the first step, understanding how it began. Because while we've been hit in the face with story after story and riot after riot and death after death,
come on, OG, stay with me. Come on, OG.
We've been left unable to sit back and truly see how all of this is connected and fits together.
Glenn Beck is right. This has been going on a long time. It's been a slow process of collecting more and more power, using keywords to normalize the word. which slowly conditions you. And if you don't understand it, you don't really know what's going on. It has a lot to do with conditional reflex theory. It's also called well, it can be explained as a physical response from a psychological stimuli, invented or discovered by Pavlov in the early 1900s. But this socialist takeover for this country has been going on almost 200 years. Started in England with the Fabian Society. And now it's here. It's so sad. It's sad to see our country, our beautiful country. For all of its flaws, it's still the great country. To be taken over like this. But the worst part is to not see it and not do anything about it. So I want to explain something what I believe Trump was doing last night in the debate. Because what I think he was doing was not atypical of a politician, because what politicians normally do is they say, okay, we've got our support, and then we don't go after their support. What we do is we go after the people who haven't decided. And so I don't think Trump is going after those people last night in the debate. You see, Bernie Sanders is supporting Joe Biden. And what the Democrats have done is they've combined all their resources because they're desperate. But you have moderate Democrats and you have left-wing radicals. And, maybe some of the old Democrats who believed that democracy is the way to go and they didn't really understand what the Democratic Party was really all about. For all you people of color, it's the Democrats who ran the slaves industry, and it was the Republicans who freed the slaves during Lincoln's time. And ever since then, Democrats have been trying to create racial divide in this country. And so what Trump was doing during the debate was to make Joe Biden show his true colors that he doesn't support the new Green Deal. But if you go to joebiden.com, he clearly does, and he says he does, and he says he does because he wants that support from the left-wing radicals. He wants that support from those people. And the people that want to do the new Green Deal. Well, what he got to say, Joe, last night, he got to him to say, I don't support the new Green Deal. Well, that's why Trump said, you just lost him. Now check this out.
You go to many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
but
Lord.
The reason is that
ridiculous.
The Democrats that run these cities don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
and you
crime,
still haven't mentioned.
Violent
Are you
crime.
in favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow
Are you in favor of law and order? Go
yes,
ahead.
I'm in favor.
You asked a question. Let him finish.
Law and order.
Law and order. Let him answer.
Law and order with justice.
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200% crime. It is crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But
the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. Yeah. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support?
It means.
Let me, if I might finish the question. What does reimagining policing mean, and do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers.
Riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is, as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now. I am a former vice president.
All right.
He's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move?
Your lunch, Joe. And no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
None of that is true.
Let him answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really?
Totally
he didn't get $3.5 million?
Mr. President.
It's totally credited.
Did Burisma pay him $183,000 a month with no experience and energy?
Mr. President,
with no my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. All right.
What is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of the town and burn down your stores and kill people all over the place, and you say peaceful protest?
President Trump,
no, it's
I'm not asking.
But you say it is.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the issue of race. I promise we're going to get to deal with race.
He did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. He's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia. Got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot. And the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking about Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
that is simply
and various
not
other places.
True.
He made a fortune.
My son.
And he didn't have a job.
My son, like
$100 trillion.
I'm talking about
where they want to rip down buildings
and
rebuild the building.
No,
it's the dumbest, most ridiculous. Where airplanes are out of business, where two-car systems are out, where they want to take out the cows too. That's not true either, right? This is a $100 trillion.
Look,
that's more money than our country could make in 100 years if we're going to
the case.
All right, let me
destroy our country.
Because I actually, wait a minute, sir. I actually have studied your plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy-efficient homes. So the question becomes, the president is saying, I think some people who support the president would say that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good-paying jobs.
But let him finish, sir.
He doesn't know how to do that. That's the court.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does. India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is
not
not
$20
my
billion.
plan.
That's
the Green
New
you
want to rebuild every building.
Not my plan.
You want to rebuild every.
If he knew anything about, if he knew anything
he made a statement
about
the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
That is
what
not
he
true.
did is he
You're done
said,
in this segment.
He called the military
stupid
bastards.
I
and he
did
said
not
it on
say
tape. He said stupid bastards.
Please,
he said it.
Stop.
I would never say that.
Play
Stop.
Play it.
Go ahead. And the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support
build
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
Do you support
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
Oh, you don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I support
that means you just lost the radical left.
I support the Biden plan that I put forward.
Okay.
The Biden plan, which is different than what he calls the radical Green New Deal.
All right, gentlemen.
Okay, that's a lot of stuff. They're like kids, on a playground, like two kids on a playground arguing. But there are some important things about, what was said. First of all, see, first of all, Trump is trying to upset him. He's trying to get him upset because, Biden's got a bad temper. And when you get upset, you say things, you say things that, you're a little bit more honest maybe sometimes. I don't know. Your true character comes out, right? Anyway. The main thing he said, Joe Biden admitted that the Green New Deal is not his plan. And then he said, no, I don't support it. Well, that's going to divide the Democrats. That will divide them. So that part of Trump's plan, I think, worked. Also, getting him to be honest about defunding the police. He said he's not opposed to it. Come on, we all know the police actually need more money. And, he said, I am the Democratic Party. And then when asked if he would have, why didn't he call the Portland mayor, he said, well, I'm not in office, even though he is ex-vice president. And then, it's Joe Biden's son has been supporting China and working with China. And, he was given a $1.5 billion to help set up sales of American companies that produce parts for the Chinese military jets. I mean, it's borderline treason. It's almost like, these guys are helping China take over the world or something, or helping communism coming into America. It's ridiculous. Some of the things he said was just crazy. Some of the things that Biden said was crazy. 500,000 charging stations, providing prevailing wage. Once something is built, that's it. There's no more workers. I do construction. I know. You go get a job. When that job's done, you're out of work until the next job comes up. Oh my gosh. One of the crazy things was wanting to pay Brazil $20 million to not tear down the forest, to not burn up the forest in Brazil. That's all the Democrats have ever done. Pay Iran to not attack us, or pay. That's all they've done. When Trump took office 3.5 years ago, 2016, one of the first things he did was stop paying these guys. He says, and you know what? If you mess with Americans, we're going to kill you. And he did. He killed guys. He killed leaders. And he was criticized for it. So, what would you rather do? Pay somebody $1 billion to not attack you, or just kill them? Because they've already been killing us. They've been targeting our things. And, the other thing Trump wanted to do was just upset Joe. And he did. Joe ended up calling him a clown, told him to shut up. And you wouldn't know a suburb if you turned into one. Yeah, he was starting to show his true character. And then all the media All the media has to say is, oh, Joe Biden won. Joe Biden won, but not Telemundo. Telemundo had it 66% Trump, 34% Biden. But the media wants to say, oh, Joe Biden won. Well, I got a question. Why is it then that now the media doesn't want to have another debate?
So, very simple question. After what went down this evening, do you think Joe Biden should participate in a second or third debate?
Should the next two debates go on as scheduled?
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if this is the last presidential debate.
Should there be other debates?
Are we really going to repeat this? Are we going to have another two of these?
I think we have to hear from the Presidential Commission on Debates tomorrow. We can't do two more of these.
Why are we bothering with a discussion of the rules, of format, of time limits, of moderators at all when we have just seen what is going on?
They're scared. They are scared. See, the real agenda of the left is to destroy our Constitution. You know, the one that gives you all those rights, the one our founding fathers fought for and said if we don't pay attention, people will try to take this country away from us. Think about it. This country is bordered by 2 oceans. It's huge. The rest of the world loves America. They look up to America. This country freed slavery. It was the first country in the 1600s that King George sent over an order to protect indigenous people. I don't care what anybody says. Christians built this country. This country was built by God. Now, here's the funny part. These guys don't want another. They don't want another election, but they want to say Joe Biden won. He did so good, even though Telemundo, which the Democrats obviously don't control, found Trump winning by 33%. These guys are saying, oh, Biden won. He was so great. Check this out.
Joe Biden acted like a human being. Donald Trump acted like a defiler.
Donald Trump declared war on decency and on democracy last night in a way that is utterly unmistakable.
The voters overwhelmingly thought last night that Joe Biden won that debate. Donald Trump set himself on fire in front of 100 million people.
You know, one of the reasons that I admire Trump is that he's been attacked since even before he walked in the office. The FBI spying on him. Obama putting together a group of people that have messed with him for the last 3.5 years. The Russian thing was a hoax. It was made up. The Democrats, Hillary in particular, was probably in charge of it, made up the Steele dossier, paid somebody, and then they use a secret agent, Steele, from Great Britain to hand this over to the FBI, who used it to go in to the FISA courts and get warrants, and then proceeded to completely destroy people's lives like Carter Page, General Flynn. It's sickening. That's why I quit the union. I said, hey, man, how come the Democrats are doing all this? And, just because I ask a question, I get called a traitor and a rat and all this by union members. It's bad what's happening to this country. You vote for Biden, and this country's going down the toilet. Might as well flush the country down the toilet. The Russian thing, the lie, the Ukraine delusion. Also, it has to do with Hillary's plan and George Soros. If you type in GeorgeSoros.com, you can see where it says Public Society 2.0. Hillary came up with that. They've used that plan to take over other countries. Those like during Obama's administration, when they took over Ukraine, Mogadishu, one of those countries, one of the Arab, Thailand, Turkey. Yeah. They were using the same process that they use now. It's the same process. It's crazy. And if we don't get control of this situation now, then America's lost. That's how important this is. So, you may not like him. He's a real butthead. He's rude. He's crass. But it's better than switching to socialism. You better vote for Trump.